Hey y'all, welcome to SB Designs. In today's video, we are making Brambleberry Wildflower Shea Melt and Pour Soap. In addition to the ingredients in your kit, you will need a heat-safe container, a cutting board, a knife, and a stirring utensil. I'm going to get started by putting together my botanicals. Now, you technically don't need to do this step. I could have just put these right in the bottom of my mold, which is what I should have done, but I thought it would be better for me to get a more even mixture if I started by prepping them first. So I'm just putting little tiny pinches of the botanicals in a jar and then mixing them together. Now, what's really cool is in this kit, you get a ton of these cornflower petals, which is great. Definitely have them for future projects. Next step is to prepare your clear melt and pour soap. Now, I mentioned briefly that I should have put my botanicals in the bottom of my mold. You're going to see me pour my melt and pour soap in the mold first, which again is not what I should have done. I should have put the botanicals in. So I would have already had the botanicals in, and then I would have done this step here with getting my melt and pour soap together. You're going to want to cut your soap base into small chunks. You don't need to go as small as I went. They don't have to be perfect little dice, little cubes. They just need to be small, even-ish pieces so that it melts evenly, and it takes a short amount of time to melt. So I'm using half a block of the melt and pour base because I'm making half a batch. All right, let's go ahead and get that melted in the microwave. If you don't want to use a microwave, you can use a double boiler, but I have no problem using the microwave. Right here, what I'm showing you is that I have like the tiniest little bit that wasn't melted from my spatula. So, you know, it's just the residual heat from the rest of the soap is going to melt those little pieces. So here's what I was telling you. I should have put my botanicals in first, but I'm starting with my clear base first because I thought this would be a better way to ensure the botanicals didn't shift. The problem with that is when I put the botanicals on top, I trapped in some like air bubbles like underneath the botanicals that I couldn't get to. Yeah, so this wasn't the right step. Here I'm going over with a little bit more of that clear melt and pour base because I was like, oh, I need to trap the botanicals in. So I'm pouring another layer, but it's not an even layer, and you'll see the problem that caused later on. What I should have done, again, start with the botanicals in the mold, pour the soap over it, and then I could have gone in and, position the botanicals more precisely if I wanted to. You're going to then prepare your white base the same way you did your clear by cutting it into uniform pieces, melting in the microwave. And then once it kind of cools down just a little bit, you'll add your fragrance oil. I poured my oil down the side of my spatula to keep it from dripping down my bottle. And then you want to stir that in really, really well. Last thing is to pour your white soap base over your clear soap base and let it set up. Now I got these little pitchers here with the long spout from Amazon, but Brambleberry does sell easy pour containers similar to this. I'm sure the Brambleberry ones are better quality, but I just started with something really basic. You want to spritz the top of your soap with rubbing alcohol to remove any air bubbles. And then when it's time to unmold, you see me pulling apart the mold from the sides of the soap. That just helps to release the airlock. And here we have the Wildflower Shea soap. Beautiful soap. I really liked the design. What I'm noticing right now, you can see where it kind of dips down. That's where I poured that second layer of soap. So that makes for an uneven layer. And I'm just noticing, some of the botanicals kind of floated around in the white melt and pour base. So not exactly the execution I wanted. It wasn't perfect. It's still really beautiful. The only thing that I didn't like about this soap, which you'll see in a future video, is that the botanicals, the colors bleed. But all in all, beautiful soap, beautiful fragrance, and I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching.